Operation Polo, as we have already discussed, it is the name of military parlance for police action in terms of political parlance. So whatever you call Operation Polo or police action, the nature of the whole activity is military, it's not police. They are not coming and arresting and keeping some people in the jails and protecting law and order. They are coming with tanks. They are coming from different directions, piercing the borders of Hyderabad state. So let's see what has happened in Operation Polo. Police action was just a military thing. So automatically we can understand this is a pure military action. So who will lead it? The army generals will be leading the whole activity. Major General J.N. Chaudhary was coming from the west side, that is Sholapur Hyderabad road, led to the whole activity, the army's entry into Hyderabad from west side. Today we call from Hyderabad, Patancheru and Hyderabad, Secunderabad, Hyderabad. And east side we had Masulipatnam or Machilipatnam. Masulipatnam is the word most of the books used. So Machilipatnam was the border, Machilipatnam Hyderabad road, led by Major General Rudra. Machilipatnam Hyderabad road means it comes via Nalgonda district, Kodada, Nakrekal and this one. So Operation Polo started on 13th September 1948, exactly 4 a.m. in the morning. When it started, the information reached 𝗟𝗟𝗏, the Commander-in-Chief of Hyderabad state, and they were also ready to attack or counter-attack or defend. So definitely this is the fight between the two. In general, we think that it is fight between the two states. But very interestingly, in whole aspect, the Indian army which was proceeding from west, I am taking one route, that is from west, they were occupying one town after another and bombarding the areas. Some of the areas, like some of the bridges, they are removing and occupying the towns. This is the process they are entering into Hyderabad. So it started on 13th September, ended on 17th September, and the Indian army has 5 points of entry into Hyderabad state. These 5 points are, one is from west, one is from east. These are the two major. Other things are also there, the other 3 points which are not so main in the thrust. So the whole 2,580 kilometers border of Hyderabad state was pierced through this operation. Major General Rudra was the man who was coming from east, as we have discussed. Chaudhary was coming from west. General Rudra leading from east side, Andhra side. Chaudhary from Bombay side. And when we discuss about Indian Army or Operation Polo, most of us understood and know that only this Indian Army, it was not just Army, it was Air Force Operation 2. Indian Air Force, Army and Indian Air Force both together acted. Airstrips of Hyderabad state bombed like Raichur, Hakimpet, Bidar, Warangal, Adilabad, Aurangabad, all these areas were bombed by Air Force. Why they were bombing the airstrips here? Because Hyderabad state should not get any support from the external force, or Hyderabad state should not have access to the flying of the officers or something from here to there. So they have bombed first, and army is also entering. Tanks used, Sherman tanks, lighter tanks, all these things rolled in. You can see the images in this. And important centers on the west side occupied like Usmanabad, Kalyani, Naldurg, these are the towns occupied. And east side, Munagala, Paragana, the border, actually Munagala is the border between Krishna and Nalgonda. So Munagala Paragana or Munagala area was occupied, and army was stationed at Munagala, Suryapeta, then proceeded towards Nakrekal, and this is happening. And BB Nagar, this is very crucial in Operation Polo. From BB Nagar side means if we think about BB Nagar train route towards Warangal, you have BB Nagar. This BB Nagar route was taken by surprise. Hyderabad army was not expecting the Indian army from BB Nagar side, but the news of BB Nagar, Indian army reaching BB Nagar was a big element of surprise, and that was the fall of Hyderabad state, because BB Nagar is very important. It is just nearby Hyderabad. If army is coming up to BB Nagar railway station, if they enter into Hyderabad state, what would be the fate of the Hyderabad city? there will be a warlike situation. Army will be entering into it if communal rights are breaking, and if army is fighting the civilians, there will be a bloodbath. This was the concern of Hyderabad state, Hyderabad military, Hyderabad government. So that is why when the army has entered, Indian army has entered Bibi Nagar. On the other side, on 17th evening itself, Indian army from west side under Major General Rudra reached the outskirts of Secunderabad. So two sides there are Indian army stationed. So Hyderabad is under just attack. So that is why on 17th September evening itself at 5 p.m. Nizam has announced a ceasefire. It is not just a military action. It is not 𝗟𝗎𝗓 or Nizam talking. It is Nizam and 𝗧𝗧 is also talking. 𝗧𝗧 is the political representative from center. So all these things are happening in political field and at the same time military field. So conclusion of Operation Polo is happening because of the Indian forces entering at Bibi Nagar hastened the political developments, as I said. Then, because they know what has happened in Kalyani or Usmanabad or Bidar, there was a serious bloodbath in all these towns when army has entered. We are not going into those details how it has happened, but there was serious violence and many people were killed in all these towns. So to avoid such things to happen in Hyderabad state, Operation Polo was successful and ceasefire happened. So concluding is nothing but the politics. War is the continuation of politics. This is a famous saying. When you can't do politics, you go into war. When war has forced you to take political action, what will happen? When the armies are at your doorstep, the cabinet of Hyderabad will resign. Layakali, the Prime Minister, Pingali Venkatram-Reddy, the Deputy CM, and other cabinet ministers resigned. And 𝗂𝗽𝗄𝗎 offered Nizam, this is an offer from Indian government, to retain Berar. Berar was under the son of Nizam. So 𝗂𝗽𝗄𝗎 was offered Berar to continue his rule from Berar. This was offer given by, assurance given by central government to Nizam through 𝗂𝗽𝗄𝗎, who was the interlocutor we call today. He was the agent general at Hyderabad. So 17th September evening, Nizam announced the draft prepared by 𝗂𝗽𝗄𝗎, surrender draft. Nizam is saying that I am welcoming the Indian army troops into Hyderabad state. This happened on Deccan radio. So on September 18th, formal surrender of Idrus before J.N. Chaudhary, and immediately after that, I said I will talk about Nizam when I am talking about this one. Nizam immediately, according to the reports or according to some of the accounts, what was happening, Nizam went to 𝗧𝗧 and said that these vultures have resigned. When the cabinet has resigned, Nizam said vultures have resigned. What do you mean by that? When you say vultures have resigned, Nizam is disowning his own cabinet and trying to make friendship with the new dispensation or 𝗂𝗽𝗄𝗎 and saying that I am going to create or I am going to form a new cabinet. And Nizam tried to form a new ministry and went to Chaudhary. And Chaudhary said, nothing doing, no ministry, no new ministry, it's martial law. So declaration of martial law on 18th, and without accepting the proposal of Nizam to form a new cabinet and have a rule. So finally, 𝗧𝗧 was completely disappointed with all these things. Because 𝗧𝗧 is the person who is carrying the message of Nehru and saying that you can continue at Berar and Hyderabad should be given up. So Nizam was also under the impression that he will be continuing. But when General Chaudhary has declared martial law, all these things have gone. So Nehru was contacted by 𝗧𝗧 saying that I am disappointed. Then Nehru said, don't interfere in Hyderabad affairs and let the J.N. Chaudhary do it. So what do you understand with this? So finally, the military and central government understanding of complete accession without giving any concession to Nizam is happening. So J.N. Chaudhary takes as the military administrator, military governor, and from 19 September 1948 till December 1st, 1949, J.N. Chaudhary was at the command. He was controlling the affairs in Hyderabad state. 𝗟𝗏𝗧 became the chief minister in 1949, civilian administrator. from December 1st, but effectively from 26 January under Constitution. So, in this meanwhile, Nizam issues an unsigned farman declaring the merger of Hyderabad state with Indian Union. So, who is making the merger declaration? Nizam is making. So, automatically Indian government will not be at fault. So, all these things are political happening in this period. And the end of the rule came in terms of Mir Usman Ali Khan, sworn in as Raj Pramukh, now not the Raja. He is just Raj Pramukh. Raj Pramukh is equivalent to governor. In 1950, he was sworn in as Raj Pramukh, and he continued as Raj Pramukh from till 1956. He got a huge privy purse, means the compensation. All princely states heads got the privy purses based on their income, based on their strength, based on the greatness of their princely state. Nizam was first offered 50 lakh per annum, but Nizam again within 1 month he pursued and finally settled to 1 crore per annum. So 1 crore per annum privy purse, and all the rights on movable, immovable properties of Nizam and his family will be retained, like gold, jewelry, precious stones, and all those things will be retained by Nizam's family, and they will be enjoying the same status in terms of facilities. They will be continued. So this was the proposal of Nizam and accepted by the military government. So Nizam has settled well. But what has happened to the officials? They were under arrest, house arrest for months. Some people fled, some people were arrested. Like Layak Ali was under house arrest for months when he was arrested. When 1948, then this surrender is happening. Immediately, his house was surrounded by all the tanks. For 2 or 3 days, tanks were there. And immediately after that, he was not allowed to move out. And he was under house arrest. And finally, one day he escaped and went to Pakistan. Then 𝗂𝗪𝗔𝗧, the leader of Razakars, he was arrested on 19th. On 18th, formal surrender. On 19th, this man, 𝗂𝗪𝗔𝗧, was arrested. And he was tried mainly in 3 cases, means these are the important cases. And he was in jail till 1959. One case was Bibi Nagar dacoity case. The other case was the killing of a famous journalist by his people, Razakars, Shoaibullah Khan. Shoaibullah Khan, a great journalist who was writing against Nizam, was killed by Razakars. So that case. So all the 3 cases, 𝗂𝗪𝗔𝗧 was imprisoned. And finally, he was released and he went to Pakistan, died in Pakistan in 1970s. And Razakar organization was banned. Indian troops, after Razakars banned, within 2 or 3 months maximum, not even 3 months, within 2 months, because Nizam got surrendered and there are no other forces to fight Indian Union. So Razakar was not the main issue after the entry of Indian Union's army, but they were still in pursuit of the other rebels, which are communists. Like Indian forces were trying to suppress the communist movement, which is popularly known as Telangana armed struggle in Hyderabad state. Telangana armed struggle is an anti-feudal struggle. Anti-feudal struggle has liberated lot of areas, means 10 lakh acres were liberated from the feudal landlords, 3,000 villages were liberated, and now Indian Union does not want the communist guerrillas to rule the rural scenario. Sardar Patel particularly, he was not happy with communist movement always. He said within some weeks he is going to pluck, or he is going to kill, or he is going to remove all the communists from Telangana state or Hyderabad state. But it did not happen, unfortunately, for Sardar Patel. Even after that, communist movement continued for long. Even armed struggle continued till 52. Though Sardar Patel said within few months, a few weeks, he is going to suppress the communist movement. Indian troops pulled out only after suppressing the communist movement in 1952. 1951, they have declared the stopping of armed struggle and joined the elections. So automatically, there is no question of Indian army fighting the communists, and finally they have pulled out. So this is happening after Operation Polo. This is end of military activity. So what are the casualties? According to J.N. Chowdhury, the military, in his autobiography, he says clearly, 1200 Razakars were killed and wounded, 450 captured, and from army side there are only 10 casualties. Exactly opposite dimension was given by Pandit Sundarlal Committee. Pandit Sundarlal Committee appointed by Nehru says 25,000 to 30,000 Muslims were killed, and many Muslims lost property and left their native towns as the hoodlums, the anarchic fellows or the goons supported by Indian army, because they are not disbanding them, they are attacking Muslims. Indian army was mute spectators or supporters. This is written in the document. They did not stop. So huge number of Muslim families had to leave their places. This is the report of Pandit Sundarlal Committee. And it's not a committee, it's a committee comprising of 3 people, multi-religious people, like Sundarlal, a Hindu, Kashmiri Pandit Sundarlal, Qazi Abdul Ghaffar, Maulana Abdullah Misri. So it is not a biased one, and this document was it is pointing out the excess of army. So Sardar Patel did not want to have this report to be open. So that is why this document was there in the lockers as a secret document till 2013 in Teen Murthy Bhavan, Nehru Memorial Library. And only recently it became a public document. That is why we could understand. And this document was not written very haphazardly. They have toured extensively. They have toured 9 districts, 7 district headquarters, 21 towns, villages, met many people, took the information, like the civil administrator, Bakhale was met, J.N. Chowdhury, and Congress leaders, they met and took the information. They toured Osmanabad, Gulbarga, Bidar, Nanded, which are worst affected areas. So this is a conservative estimate, they say. They say conservative. Conservative means less. Even Pandit Sundarlal Committee says this is a conservative estimate. Whereas it is 1200 by J.N. Chowdhury, it is 25 to 30,000 by Sundarlal. So this is the one. So thus, the last part of your military aspect is the casualties I talked about. After the military government was established, now forget about the Operation Polo, forget about establishment of merger of Hyderabad state into Indian Union. Now it is part of Indian Union for all purposes. Though the whole course will take some time for a proper merger, but who is ruling this Hyderabad state? Now it is part of the Indian Union. You can say from 17 September onwards, this has become part of the Indian Union. It is not Nizam who can dictate terms. But you have different phases. The first phase is the military government phase. J.N. Chowdhury, who was appointed as military administrator, Nizam was issuing the farmans because that is legal. Nizam still a ruler, a nominal head, and the rule is military rule. And civil administrator was appointed Mr. D.S. Bhakale, who was looking after railways, home, political affairs, such things. Some ministers were there under the military governor also, like Nawab Yar Jang, Raja Dhonde Raj. All these people were assisting this military rule. On December 6, 1948, Nizam has issued a farman, dissolution of Hyderabad legislature. But for all practical purposes, by December 6, 1948, there was no legislature because military government is there. November 1949, Hyderabad is becoming part of, it is coming under the Constitution of India. And from 26th January, for all practical purposes, it is constitutionally part of Indian Union. So what were the policies of military government? Immediately after the military government took over, they have arrested all the officials of Nizam. They have shown anti-Muslim attitude, arrested chief secretary, engineer-in-chief, DGPs, collectors, SPs, Tahsildars, and thousands of, hundreds of officers were sacked. Thousands of Muslims in military, police exercise were sacked. So, first point is anti-Nizam government, means officially you are dealing with the officials, so you are arresting and you are putting them behind bars. And the second thing is Muslims, anti-Muslim bias was there. This was talked by Nehru even under Velodi government, remember. So, this is the major aspect of military government. Military government, you don't talk much about civil administration, though they are trying to do it. Main thing aspect about military government is the land reform which was brought in, that is the Hyderabad abolition of Jagirdar rules, 14 September 1949. Why this has to be brought is to take away the surface caste lands of Nizam they have brought in. Means if you have to make Nizam powerless, you have to take the lands of Nizam also. This Hyderabad rules, abolition of Jagirdars, is to take away the surface caste lands of Nizam. This is happening under military rule. Then, suppression of Telangana armed struggle is another aspect under military government I talked about. And during this period, 𝗬𝗪𝗺 𝗬𝗪 or many other communists who are writing their memoirs or accounts of this period, they have clearly said, lot of atrocities committed by Indian army on the communists in Telangana. Communists, they are Indian people. If for all said and done, they are Indian people now because they are part of Indian constitution. They are part of Indian Union. But communists were dealt with a very harsh methods, like Captain Nanjappa, one military man. His camps were notorious for the atrocities on communists, for the what you call physical tortures on communists. So in the entire episode from 1948 to 51, 2000 communists were killed and thousands arrested and tortured. So this is under military government. Then comes the civil administration. M.K. Vallodi. Then comes the civil administration. Then comes the civil administration. M.K. Vallodi was appointed as chief minister, a civilian rule to stop military rule, because there were accusations on military because of their high-handedness, anti-Muslim bias and all these things, the debates in parliament. So finally a civilian government is coming. It was effective from 1st December 1949. So they have formed a cabinet. In that cabinet you can see many people like Nawab Jain-Yarjeng, M. Sheshadri, C.V.S. Rao, Burgula Ramakrishna Rao, V.B. Raju, Fulchand Gandhi, Vinayak Rao Vidyalankar, all these people were having their portfolios. But what are the major aspects of the civil government? In both military and civil governments, there was a raw deal for both Muslims and Hindu mulkis. I am saying mulkis. It is not just anti-Muslim bias. Muslims were removed from police, revenue and military. It's one thing. Second thing is appointment into different jobs. Mulkis should be appointed. But both under civil and military, mulkis were not getting jobs. English educated people from Madras, Bombay, Central Province were recruited. Injustice was done because English and Telugu was favored in the place of Urdu. So automatically what you are doing? You are bringing in people who are English educated, are trained by British, are trained in the British India. And second thing is, as I said, anti-Muslim attitude is always there during this period. So military government has amended the 1919 Mulki Farman of Nizam slightly and issued a new thing, Hyderabad Civil Services Regulation Act. But this act is not a big deal because it did not make any justice to mulkis. Anti-Muslim bias was discussed by Nehru also. That is why Nehru wrote a letter to N.G. Iyengar, who was the chief secretary. He said, attitude towards Muslim civil servants is objectionable and with communal bias. This was the thing Nehru was talking about. So finally, if we take the estimates, it is 7,000 to 8,000 non-mulkis were appointed in this entire period. And in the 7,000 to 8,000 non-mulkis, 3,111 were in police, and these people were from Andhra region of Madras province. So what do you understand? By 1950 itself, you can see the influx into Hyderabad state from Andhra. So civil administration and military administration, both done injustice to mulki issue. This is showing upon the Hyderabad state. In 1952, when Burgula Ramakrishna Rao becomes the chief minister, democratically elected, he has to face the first anti-non-mulki agitation or mulki agitation or idli sambar go back movement we call it as. So 𝗬𝗏𝗀𝗧 were asked, and when did the 𝗬𝗏𝗀𝗧 settle? This is the period, 𝗹𝗁𝗧𝗧 and 𝗳 Chaudhary. So to conclude the civil administration's things, main aspect was establishing a civilian rule in Hyderabad state from feudal and military phase. Actually, till Nizam surrendered, it is a feudal state. After that, it is a military state. So 𝗹𝗁𝗧's period is the civilian administration. This is respite. Second thing is regaining the developmental phase, because under feudal, last years of Nizam was not so good. It was because Telangana armed struggle was going on. Razakars were there. Nizam was in a hurry to settle as an independent kingdom, and Indian Union is coming up. So all these things did not allow Nizam to think about the developmental aspects which he was thinking before 1940s. So 40s, post 40s, it is completely a different story. So regained the developmental phase in Hyderabad state. That is why when we are talking about the Finance Commission Gorwala Committee report, financially the economic aspect of Hyderabad state was discussed by Gorwala, and this is the phase Gorwala Committee's recommendations are implemented under civilian government, and because of that only again Hyderabad could gain the equilibrium on economic front. So this is one achievement of civilian government. Attempts to dilute some provisions in 1949 Mulki rule is already there. How they have diluted? Knowledge of Telugu is important, Kannada is important, and Marathi is important. This is additional qualification. Once you make this additional qualification, what will happen? The people who are well versed in Telugu from Andhra state are entering into Hyderabad for jobs. This amendment, this what you call making a small dent on the rule, Mulki rules, is very important under civil administration. That is why in 1950 January itself, K.V. Rangareddy, Konna Venkat Rangareddy demanded deadline to limit the appointments of non-Mulkis in Hyderabad state. And he said Mulkis only should be appointed. Mulkis in government jobs. You set a deadline. After that, you will not take any non-Mulki into job. This was the demand of K.V. Rangareddy in 1950. So finally, if we talk about Mulki violations under military and 𝗹𝗁𝗧 were the basis for 1950 anti-Mulki agitation. So, to sum up, what has happened between 1947 August 15th to 1952 with the democratically elected government is coming to power, is from feudal to democratically elected state, passing through different stages. One is feudal, then military, then civilian government. Operation Polo was the instrument. In the examination, I am giving all the bits, smaller bits in objective type, but for the, as far as mains is concerned, descriptive answer is concerned, descriptive question is concerned, importance of Operation Polo and merger of merger of Hyderabad state into Indian Union. I repeat, as far as the mains is concerned, the question can be, write a detailed note about the importance of Operation Polo, political happenings during this period of merger with Indian Union, Hyderabad state's merger with Indian Union. This is the exhaustive thing. As TSPSC has said that our mains will be, our questions will be at par with UPSC. It can be not direct, it can be twisted. Like the political happenings of Hyderabad state after India became independent is very crucial in terms of Indian polity. Explain. This, he will not talk about military action. He will not talk about 𝗹𝗁𝗧 and all those things, but he'll ask indirectly. So take this as the question. Indirect question or direct question.